Hi guys, and welcome to today's tutorial. In today's lesson we're going to look at the chapter Urbanisation, and we're going to look at some solutions to urban problems. So in the last video you might have watched, we looked at problems with urbanisation, and for your junior certificate examination you need to know at least two in detail, so two urban problems you can get. Now in this tutorial we're going to look at some of the solutions to urban problems. So there are two things that you can do. There's two main solutions, and I'm going to show you now about today. So solutions, and there's two main solutions. The first solution, and this is for like the inner city, is basically to have inner city renewal, and redevelopment. So because of all the urban problems, what you can do is you can have inner city renewal and inner city like redevelopment. And the second solution is that you can actually plan new towns. So when they have a problem, if they have an area particularly in like Dublin where they feel that there's too many problems, like such as crime, and there's not enough amenities, and they need to sort it out. What they might do is they might do some renewal and redevelopment, or they might actually just plan a new town and move the residents out into that new town. I'm going to show you two examples in Dublin where they've done each of these solutions now. Just before I move on, inner city renewal and inner city redevelopment are different, okay? And just to clarify, inner city renewal, this is when people's houses are repaired and efforts are made to improve the community services and job opportunities of that area. Whereas redevelopment is when the residential areas are cleared, such as like Ballymun, the flats were demolished, and then they basically build high-rise like offices and apartments, and they move the residents out into the suburbs or into a different area of the city. So just to make sure that you know the difference between renewal and redevelopment. Renewal is when they just try to improve and repair the houses and the facilities and the job opportunities in the area. Redevelopment is when they actually just knock it down and they start over and they clear it and they redevelop the entire area. And when a place undergoes like renewal or redevelopment, we call this like regeneration of the area that they're doing, okay? So an example would be like the Docklands. So we'd say the regeneration of Dublin Docklands through redevelopment and renewal. They try to improve the job opportunities and the services, but they also did knock down parts of it and redeveloped it with new apartments and high-rise buildings and offices and so on. So we're just putting a quick little update here. So renewal is basically the update and the improvement of the area. So they basically make the area, just improve the community services and the job opportunities and the houses and everything in the area. An example of this would be Ballymun in County Dublin, North County Dublin, where they knocked down all the high-rise flats and they replaced them with family homes, and they replaced them with more modern apartments and some office blocks and so on. So they just basically regenerated the area. And then the second thing is redevelopment. Redevelopment is when they clear the area, they knock it down usually, and they usually then replace it with like high-rise offices or apartments or more modern apartments. It's basically when they basically clear the area and they change the use of the land. So they don't. If there was loads of homes, they don't necessarily replace it with homes. They might replace it with like offices or a car park or something like that. Okay, an example can be Jervis Street, Dublin. What they did was they knocked down Jervis Street Hospital and they replaced it with a public car park, so people could use it for Jervis Street Shopping Centre and for the business community. So that was a redevelopment. They knocked it down because they cleared it and then they changed the use of the land. Renewal is when they update and improve it, whereas redevelopment is when they actually clear and change the use of the land. A case study that underwent redevelopment and renewal, so regeneration, was the Dublin Docklands. Due to the reduced amount of employment because of mechanism, we didn't need as many people to work on the docks because of machines now. This resulted in like a 50% drop in the Docklands population since the 1900s, And what happened is it left many buildings derelict, and basically like people that just moved out of the area and the whole community kind of like collapsed. So what the government decided to do was to regenerate the Dublin Docklands. So I've just put in here Dublin Docklands. The problems was that there was a lack of work, which led to a decrease in the population, and then that left many derelict buildings, and just the whole area was completely run down. So the government decided to to complete a regeneration of the Dublin Docklands, and some of their aims was as follows. So the regeneration of the Dublin Docklands, their aims for regeneration was as follows. They wanted to inject 7 billion in investment through public through public investment and through private investments. They wanted to create between 30 to 40,000 extra jobs in the area. They wanted 11,000 homes to be built, which 2,000 of these homes would be used for social housing. They wanted to add 42,500 people extra in population, and this repopulation of the inner city is called infill development. It's when you actually fill in basically the area that was once maybe derelict with an additional like population. So the additional population that's going to be added in will be 42,500, and they wanted to construct the Spencer Dock, which would include the National Convention Centre and the U2 Tower. So this is an example of a case study that you could use for renewal and redevelopment. And the whole thing when you've got renewal and redevelopment, you call this regeneration. Now we're going to look at so that was the first solution, inner city renewal and redevelopment. We're going to look at the second solution, which is planning of new towns, and we're going to also look at a case study for a new town, which is Tala. So we're going to look at the second solution to basically when you get like urban problems. So because of urbanisation, you get many problems. So the second solution is to plan new towns, and the function of new towns is to prevent like unplanned growth, which will happen because of like urban sprawl. So new towns, they have certain characteristics, and I'm just going to talk about the characteristics now. So one of the things that they're usually like purpose built to accommodate a certain amount of population. So they're like, we'll say they're purpose built. So purpose built to accommodate a certain amount of population. Of the population. Usually they're located near large urban areas. And the reason why they're located near large urban areas is because they act as like overspill towns. So the city is like overspilling, so they act as like they're an overspill of the city. Usually you get many like young families settling here. So they're mainly young families. And usually the new towns have industrial estates. And this is good because then it can provide jobs for the people that locate here. So these are usually the characteristics of new towns. An example for a case study that we're going to look at is going to be for a new town. It's going to be Tala. So Tala was a new town that was developed. In more recent times, you could look at someone like Adamstown, but we're going to look at the case study of Tala. So when they built Tala to start, they did have a few problems that still probably like exist today with the development of Tala. It was meant to be like the ultimate planned environment, and there was a mixture of like inner city residents that were being relocated out to the suburbs, and it was a mixture of people who lived in the suburbs of Dublin and everywhere else in Ireland. But the main problem that they encountered, that kind of still exists today, is that there was a lack of a town centre and adequate services. They built a lot of houses, but they didn't really provide a focus like a town centre and enough adequate services for the amount of people living there. Okay, so we're going to look at now today what Tala actually looks like, and at the moment the current population is about 77,000. They have got a town centre now in Tala, which they really didn't have a focus beforehand. They've got a big shopping centre, the Square. It's a financial and commercial kind of centre for many businesses and offices. They've got a college, the Institution of Technology, and they've got a hospital. They've also got good transport links with the Lewis that runs from Tala into the city centre, and they're located just off the exit 11 off the M50, and they've got good routeways to the N81, which provides good access for the residents and for people that are maybe commuting to work in the city centre, or people that are maybe working out in Tala itself. Okay, so that's it for today's tutorial. We had looked at the urban problems, and then we looked at ways that you could actually solve urban problems with looking at some solutions. And we looked at two main solutions. One was the redevelopment and renewal of certain areas, which usually takes place in inner cities. And the second one was to build the building of new planned towns. And we looked at two case studies. We looked at the case study for the Dublin Docklands and the case study for the new town, which was Tala. If you'd like some more videos, please go on the website www.examrevision.ie, where you can find lots more videos in the junior certificate examination course. I've done out the whole course for junior cert geography, and you can also find some quizzes, notes and PowerPoints that can help aid your study. Thanks guys.